Hello there, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Long time no see.
Yep, we've been pondering our thoughts on the current day-to-day activities, and so what are we going to talk about, David? I know something's up your sleeve.
Well, I mean, I got quite the story, but to start off with that one, well, I guess we can start off with it. So, do you remember how about 7 or 8 months ago there was a school shooting with a transgender? I think it was a biological woman.
Yeah.
And then she purposely went and shot up a Christian school, killing I think it was 3 kids, if I'm not mistaken, and a few adults.
Something like that. It was like 6 or 7.
Yes. The point of it is that the reason why the details are eluding me is because that story was dropped rather quickly, and the Manifesto, even though for all these cases, seems to be there the next day. We have their baby pictures. We have school plays. Literally, that I've seen that on TV for one of the killers of one of these other shootings. I was watching TV one day, and it was like a day or two after one of those school shootings, and they were like, and we've uncovered, this killer. Well, they didn't call him a killer. They called him a school shooter. They were like, we've uncovered his baby. Not his baby. His
his manifesto.
No, not like his actual school play from when he was 10 years old.
Oh yes, because he did.
Not this one. No. That's what I'm saying is that for these other ones, we seemingly have all this information. For this one, we didn't have anything basically. And yes, but now the manifesto has been leaked.
Well, a part
pages,
of it.
Yes, pages of it have been leaked. Yeah. And I mean, it's basically what we thought, but it's to me the more interesting part is that the idea that that pieces of information just seem to disappear when it's inconvenient.
Yeah, well, for the last who knows, at least several years, if something happens, if there's a hate crime, if there's a police shooting, if there's some type of crime that doesn't fit a certain narrative, then we won't show it. For example, if there's a white police officer that does anything physically harms a minority, if you are a Hispanic, if you're black, or like any minority color, you will see that everywhere. But if it's the other way around, you won't really see that. Mm-hmm. It's very, or for example, in this case, it was this biological woman was portraying she identified as a man since 2022. She killed these 6 or 7 kids, and for these several months we didn't really know what was her motive, because what we did know is that when she was 10 years old, she actually went to that specific school. Mm-hmm. And usually, as David said, whenever there's some type of shooting, when there's some type of mass murder, within 24 hours, they show an entire biography of the perpetrator. But for some reason, nobody said anything about this one. Yep. Well, why is that? It's not because they didn't have the information. It's because it didn't fit its narrative. She was, not only was this person biologically a woman, it was a trans woman. And that's that's been the current vogue.
And it wasn't just that it was trans. It was who she was specifically targeting. Yeah. That it was, she mentions Jews. I think she mentions Christians.
She mentions white kids. Mm-hmm. Like I can just read a few.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can read some of the stuff that they say.
So meaning, and this is so what I'm gonna say for the next dozen so seconds. It's all that the perpetrator said. It says death day. Says from 7 a.m. get dresses from 7:05 to, meaning that she had what she was going to do per time: eat breakfast, pack with specials, belongings, and backpacks, and so forth. 11:20 a.m. final videotape, and then on the other paper, she says, "Kill those kids, those crackers going to the private fancy school with those fancy khakis with special backpacks." And then she also says, "I wish to shoot those." I don't know. She does have pretty bad handwriting. With your with your moppy yellow hair. Well, want to kill all you city crackers, bunch of little. I'm assuming that she's saying bunch of little fuckers with your white privilege.
No, it's faggots.
Oh, okay. Bunch of little faggots with your white privilege. And she also says, "I can't believe it's here. Don't know how I was able to get this far, but here I am. I'm a little nervous but excited too. Been excited for the past 2 weeks," and so forth. Meaning just these 2 or 3 pages, we know the motives. They are clear. They are there.
And somehow this manifesto was being held for investigation of what were the motives. It's pretty clear. Like this.
Yeah.
they write like a 10-year-old, but you get exactly what they're saying. It's very simple in the matter of what's going on. Yeah, the motivation is clear.
Yeah, and then
there's no grand scheme to this. It's just white privilege and rich people and
like all the current like all of the current pathologies that our society deems that are not okay. How much money does your parents have in your bank? Because these were children. Mm-hmm. You don't have enough pigment in your skin. That means that you are not cool, that you shouldn't be allowed, and so forth. But the problem is that there's not only a double standard here. There's people. We have institutions that not so long ago, the vast majority of Americans at least thought that they were doing their job most of the time.
Yeah.
Meaning that the FBI had this information, the government of that state of Tennessee knew what was going on, and they deliberately didn't showcase to the public for many reasons. One is maybe they were afraid for the woke mob to chasing them down, or the one that I think is that these institutions have now they have been corrupted from the inside out, that I don't have any faith in them.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if we can fix them. And what's even more stupidly that I think about is that there's a lot of good Caucasians, good white people, good that actually see this, but don't bat an eye, saying, "Well, they're targeting you."
Yeah.
Like, why don't you say something?
So it was LouderWithCrowder, Steven Crowder, that leaked this. Well, it was leaked to him, and they verified it, and they actually got that episode removed from YouTube, even though on YouTube they weren't saying those parts. They were cutting them off, and they did show them on Rumble. I did see it there, but regardless, it is interesting how I forget who brought that up, but somebody else mentioned that the moment that this story just can't be kept under wraps anymore, and mainstream media just decides to report on it, YouTube won't care anymore. Like, you'll be able to just have it on there.
So they got more competition.
Yes, as soon as they have competition, exposure, as soon as it's deemed that you're allowed to share this information.
Yeah,
now.
It was kind of that thing that not so long ago, if you said anything negative, anything just trying to question the COVID vaccines, you were automatically flagged, or your videos were taken down, or you were canceled, as the saying goes. But now, since it's happening, since it's the new then they're just allowing it.
And you know what's the worst part about this is that the people that are already in the know and can figure this stuff out already knew the motivations of this person. They didn't know them for sure, but they had a pretty good idea We had a pretty good idea of why they did it. And anybody who would have benefited from it being on mainstream media immediately after it happened, like all these other shootings or all these other tragedies, as soon as they happen, the people who only watch that stuff, if you tell them now, they probably won't even remember exactly which one it was. Like, because I mean, that is a problem that there's plenty of school shootings. I'm not sure if there's one since then, but and see, that's what I mean. It's like there's a you know the word I'm trying to say, desensitization to it. But regardless, so once again, it's just going to go back to this information was successfully suppressed, in the sense that in the grand scheme of things, the people who should have gotten this information didn't get it. The windows closed. The tragedy came and went 8 months ago. They shut it down. And now the people who are looking at it online, like I said, already had a pretty good idea of what it was about. And the people who, just heard it in passing on the TV, probably just heard immediately afterwards, to ban guns. And instead of talking about what was the reason that motivated this deranged individual to do such a horrible thing,
Yeah, well, we have a lot of pathologies here in America, and broadly speaking, in the West, that as soon as something happens, when it comes to shootings, we would only choose specific ones. When there's a gang related shooting in some of the major cities, those aren't really harped on. When there's some type of shooting from the cartel, we don't really hear about those. It's only specific ones that fit a certain narrative.
Yeah, because
institutions, and by I mean institutions, it's the government, the FBI, the CIA, CNN, MSNBC, and some of, meaning that we have become Facebook and so forth, that many of these institutions, yes, it is a given that they do lean left, but they lean to certain, they lean so far sometimes that they are not giving us the truth. They are only telling us one side of the story. But this is, to go to the bigger picture, this is, we have been digging our own grave here in the West for a really long time. And I have noticed that more people are getting tired of it, and the only thing that I would suggest is for people is to speak the truth now. We had this old saying that to be tolerant, to be tolerant, to be respectful, to be cordial. But I have heard it enough times that I don't think we should be tolerant. I don't think that we should be tolerant to lies, to blatant lies, not only to us as adults, but to your children. And we shouldn't pretend that everyone's opinion is the same. There are some ideas that are absolutely stupidity. There are some ideas that they will lead to harm to oneself and to others, and you have to call them out.
And it's also not a fair fight. The side of misinformation has all of mainstream on their side, and they themselves, the useful idiots, the foot soldiers, are, I would say, quite a bit more immature than the other side. So they expect you to be tolerant while not showing you any of the tolerance that they fully expect to receive from you, to even give you the chance for them to scream in your face and for you to maybe get in like a word or two. Like, that would be their ideal situation. So yeah, I think that people are getting fed up finally. That I think it comes in waves, honestly, that there are people who jumped way early on, the ones that were fighting in the streets. And those guys got shut down pretty quickly. But, there's been waves and waves, and it does seem that there's a big movement. I hope that it's a big movement of people who are rising up against this culture that's basically eating away at this country. And I mean, for sure, that more than ever, it seems that there's plenty of alternative media. It just happens to be that, like I said, this the people that need to hear it seemingly aren't hearing it because they keep on doing this thing where they'll trickle the information over the course of like a year for these inconvenient truths to them, you know. So
yeah, well, the thing that I keep noticing is not just America. Yes, America is the central.
And I mean, it's also where we're at, as you can see.
Yeah, well, it's because it's here, it's where we live, but it's also the hegemony.
Yes.
But there's a lot of Western countries. I know that Britain specifically, London has its own current problems that are quite massive, and there's France and so forth. But the ongoing motif is that we have lost what we believe in on our institutions, on our backbone. And my opinion is that there has to be more courageous voices saying that, no, we don't put up with such shenanigans. If the government, if the police force do not stand in our behalf, then we might have to do it our own selves. Yeah. Some of the problems that my fellow friends in Britain have is they don't have the right to protect themselves. Yes. They don't have the 2A, and thankfully many of the states here do. But for what I'm trying to say is that you can think with common sense, rationality, just pragmatically, and you should be able to defend yourself.
Yes. And defend yourself verbally and of course physically if it may have to come to that. But yes, that's another important thing, that the more that people speak out, the more that people need to educate themselves on these subjects to be able to have a good defense for some of these ideas, because they'll come at you with slogans. And I mean, a good one that I heard, well, this is somewhat unrelated, but the idea of when they shout from the river to the sea, like, do they even know which river or which sea, like it's, like it's like stuff like that where it's, they have propaganda and slogans on the other side. And I mean, like I said, this side seems to be the side that has education and information, but it needs to be it needs to have a backbone to it. Otherwise it's going to be just that voice whispering in a corner. But I do think that things are shifting, and I do see like a bigger movement. I will just end it. I don't think that if people love their country, and specifically I'm talking about my country, the Americans, it's not perfect, and I don't really care for people to nitpick. I'm just saying overall, this is not a perfect country, but it's a good country. It is a country that we don't reach our ideals, but the ideals are something to actually strive for. They are written down. They are here. And if other people, for whatever reason, especially if they're foreigners, if they don't appreciate it, they could easily go back. If they don't respect what we here have as Americans, then they shouldn't be here. And I know that it's not the polite thing to say, especially with this whole idea that we could all be multi-culture and be in this hodgepodge. No, there's differences. That's why certain parts of the world have less freedom than other countries. And this is the bigger picture, meaning, yes, we started this video off with that despicable perpetrator doing that shooting, and also despicable institutions not showing that information, but also too that we as Americans, we as the so-called civilized world, we haven't been doing our own due diligence and actually showing our kids, why are we still here? Why is America better than the Middle East? Why do we have these rights and in Russia they don't, or so forth? Like, why is it okay that we could stand up for whatever we believe, even if I despise what they say, but they have that right. The problem is when we start to glorify them, saying that it's okay to hate Jews, it's okay to actually
to actually move them, if not verbally, by force. See, that's the thing when you know that it's rotten.
Well, it's the idea of there's a difference between everybody having the right to say what they want to say and seemingly treating what everything says as equal. There's a big difference. They should be able to say whatever they want to say, but it should not be respected to the same level. Ideas need to be able to hold up to scrutiny, and a lot of these do not in the slightest. And that's what I would say is just, and like I said, this is just one of many ways that they're attacking this specific country with the school shootings specifically. But I would say just pick, like a few that really like get under your skin and educate yourself on those, to at least have those to defend yourself and shoot down these horrible ideas to speak up. Yeah. But yeah, that'd be about it for me.
There's this short video, it's about a minute long or so, that it actually brings hope. There's some solace here. That there was this video sometime this week. There was a New Yorker named Polly that he actually saw this scumbag taking off
Jewish hostages.
Yes. He was taking off posters of Jewish hostages, and what this American did, which I tip my hat to him, his name was Polly, basically said, hey, look it, I don't care if you have a Palestine flag, I don't care if you're saying hate the Jews, but don't be taking that flag off. I mean, don't be taking those posters off. You don't know for a fact if those hostages have actually, if they have actually been kidnapped or not. So meaning that don't be doing stuff unless if you're here to face the consequences, because Polly was basically telling them, hey, you have your right to protest, you have your right to say stupidity, but we also have the right to put these posters up on the wall. And that's what I'm trying to at least tell my fellow Americans, is it's let them do their worst, and let, at least for the people that have common sense, try to do their best, and let's see that who wins. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be but there's actually
it's gonna be a struggle, but I mean I do see hope in the future.
Yeah, well, who knows? But I mean, it's like I'm hopeful. What I do despise is just my own fellow countrymen just spouting hate, and then at the same time trying to bask in all the virtue. I think we have to call each other out on it, and let's see who has the better story to tell.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Right there.